Coming up on Mental Health Marty, September is National Recovery Month. Stay tuned as we have a vivid conversation surrounding national recovery. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's me. It's Martina Sellers, your mental health hygienist, coming to you always live and in living color, all the way from Southern California. Y'all, you know what I say, where the sun is always shining and it never rains. That's a lie in Southern California. But we need to rain right now, y'all. How you feeling and how you living? Did I mess up that intro or what? Listen, my tongue was tied and I meant to say a riveting conversation about recovery in the black community. But I don't know what came out my mouth. You know, that's how it just rolls sometimes. But listen, hope you are doing well. Let me know that you're out there. Let me know you're listening. Let me know where you're from and how you're living, y'all. We are going into some of the cooler months. However, they said we are about to have some triple digits back here in Southern California. And y'all, we got to get ready for it and get prepared. But we hope you are doing well out there. Let me know you're listening. And as always, let me share what what the Mental Health Marty show is all about. Mental Health Marty is a psychoeducational show, and our desire and goal is that we might stop the stinking thinking, that we may no longer continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow of shame. But you know how I say it, y'all. We got to speak up. We got to speak out so that we can live, that we might be able to live our best life. And like our theme song says, to enjoy your life, because that's what it's all about. And hope that you are having a great, great, great day. Yes. What's up, my brother? How you feeling out there? Jeff, listen, thank you. I just saw you on when I was on IG about an hour ago, but man, I appreciate you. Much love to you for always following and definitely staying in with us. Yes. Now, what I want to also remind you, how do you get involved and how do we see your comments? We want you to go over to the YouTube channel, Mental Health Marty YouTube. Mental Health Marty YouTube. Let me say that one more time. Mental Health Marty YouTube. And we want you to subscribe and hit that like button, and you'll hear a bing. And when you hear that bing, that means that you have subscribed to Mental Health Marty. We're trying to grow our subscription so that we can get this out there to you, because we have some great topics that we share every week with you on different topics different topics for what we're definitely talking about and everything. Miss Jazz, how are you? Good to see you. Yes. Something. Yes, Jazz. You know, when our kids get a hold of our channels, we no longer are in control of anything. Jazz, good to see you. Again, September, there's lots of things that's going to in September. Last week we talked about suicide and suicide ideation and how suicide has been on the rise, especially for our community of color. And one of the fastest growing suicide rates is definitely between the ages. When I say this, it breaks my heart. The ages of 10 up until about 34, especially with our young black men. And we know that they are 4 times as more likely to commit suicide or have suicide ideation. Tanya, always so good to see you. Thank you for sharing the page. Listen, Tanya, you have to be our #1 fan out there. I so appreciate you joining in and being so faithful every week. Jeff, you the #1 king out there, because you come in there all the time as well. But I'm so grateful that we have this platform. My desire, you know, guys, I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, doing a weekly show. I started off just doing it on Facebook when we're going Facebook Live, because I just wanted to dispel a lot of the myths and misnomers as it pertained to mental health, especially in our communities, in our BIPOC, Black and Indigenous people of color in those communities, because we never talk about it. Yes, Miss Britt, gotta have you back on. Love you, love you, love you, love you. And y'all, shout out to My Legacy House, a wonderful nonprofit organization in Los Angeles that is really supporting not just the mental health but the overall wellness of everyone. And she is so important. How are you, First Lady? So good to see you. God bless you. Love you. Glad that you are joining from Kansas City, Mo. But listen, you got to make sure if you're in the Los Angeles area, and please check out My Legacy House because she is the real deal. Miss Britt, she's doing it. She's the real deal, helping us through times of struggle, change, and that type of. And she's Britt. I don't know if you're up for taking new enrollment for the program. It's a year-long mentorship. You cannot beat that, and we are partnering. Mental Health Marty and also Marcel Consulting with providing mental health services with My Legacy House. So we definitely want to make sure you are seeing it. Mr. Reg, what's going on? Hope everything with the move is going great for you. Listen, definitely. Yes, she is taking apps. So please check out My Legacy House because the home is where the heart is. But tonight we're going to be talking about recovery and what that looks like. Recovery month. And when it comes to recovery, many of us can be, and I don't want us to look at this from a negative connotation, because when we look at it, many of us have various addictions and attachments to healthy and unhealthy things because of various challenges, and we use oftentimes these negative coping skills as just that, as coping skills from avoiding other challenges in life. But I want to look at this. September became National Recovery and Prevention. Definitely. Shalom. Definitely. From Indiana. God bless you. And starting in, I believe it was 86 that it became. And I'm looking at some information from SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Agency. And in 89, SAMHSA, and along with some other organizations, created the National Recovery Month. And I'm glad about it because we need to talk about how do we recover from not just substance abuse, but other things that we can be addicted to. And they define recovery as this. Recovery is defined as a process of change where individuals improve their health and wellness, live self-directed lives, and strive to reach their full potential. That is such an amazing definition when we look at it. Let me read that one more time. Again, recovery is defined as a process of change. We all are in this process of change. Keep living, something's going to change on you, where individuals improve their health and wellness. We can't just improve our health without improving our wellness, because there is a connection right there that we have to pay attention to. They live self-directed lives and strive to reach their full potential. And according to SAMHSA, in the 2020 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, they said that 40 million people from ages 12 or older has had a substance use disorder. Let me say that again. 40 million people 12 and older. That's just like mind-blowing. And we have to look at disorder versus abuse and misuse of it. And then they were saying, and 14 million adults ages 18 or older has a serious mental health illness in 2020. Now, mind you, we also had the pandemic that came in 2020, where we had the stay and shelter order that increased so many and made all of these things much more complicated. And so we're on the heels of recovering from all of that. But I want to bring in my first guest with us today. Listen, he is no stranger to the Mental Health Marty Show. Listen, this brother from another mother is so cool. He's got this podcast that is so dynamic with men, and I'm so proud to call him my brother, so proud to call him a fellow clinician, and all the way way from the Tennessee area. Then we're glad he stayed up a little later with us. None other than licensed clinician James Bush.
What's good, Marty? What's going on with you, man?
What's going on, James?
Man, every time I come on your show, your music is slamming. Your intro music, man, is just hitting like that, dude. I mean, I be up there I be jamming too. I'm like,
Yeah.
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 Like, this ain't no mental health show right there. We jamming on this thing. We getting that
Listen.
dopamine going.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. In mental health, we got to take care of this thing called our mind. And that's what makes me happy. Jazzy says, always good to see you, James. Yes.
Bless you, sister. Bless you.
You got a fan club, man. You got a fan club.
Oh,
man,
don't tell my lady that, Lord Jesus.
It's a healthy fan club. That's right. That's right. I ain't mad at you, man. Man, for those who may not know who you are, James, tell us about who you are. Your amazing podcast called Podcast of a Man, and why you are doing this thing called mental health.
Well, one of the things is that the field chose me. I didn't choose the field.
Right.
I was I was in school and I was looking for something to do, and I mean, basically, a little white lady told me, she said, "James, I think you would be very good at this." And I said, "Yeah, right, white lady." But she saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And how many of us know that we need those individuals in our lives to do such? And so my thing is that one thing I noticed about working in the substance abuse field, because that's where I cut my teeth, is that there were not a lot of therapists, one, that look like me, and two, that can speak to the different situations and the blight that it was on our community. Our community, sometimes we normalize these things such as smoking blunts and drinking and all these other things, but we didn't realize that was somewhat derogatory. It was a deficiency. It was something that we were missing. And one of the biggest things that I learned was that substance abuse is a symptom of bigger and greater issues that are going on in our community, in our own personal lives. So that's why the Mind of a Man show is used as a tool of education, information for brothers, so that, man, we can get that information. We talk about sex, we talk about drugs, we talk about all other kinds of things. But what about talking about depression? What about talking about anxiety? What about talking about ADHD? What about talking about what it looks like when you have all these different things going on in your life and you don't know what to do with it? Yeah, I can go and drink something right there, but it's just going to numb me to that existence and the reality that I'm going to have to face every day. So let's do something about it.
Exactly. And that's so important. I love that's where you kind of cut your teeth in this whole thing of mental health, and then pairing that with your license and everything, man, because we know that a lot of times we are trying to self-medicate when we're taking the drugs. We're self-medicated when we need to be recoveries from sex. We're self-medicating. Whatever that thing that gives us that adrenaline, the dopamine, the endorphins and everything. And we know it's short-lived, but we have to learn to address the root of the problem so that we are not being controlled by the substances. But definitely facing the situation we're dealing with.
Definitely. I mean, what's better than one woman, two women, or three women? And then the thing is, the dysfunction continues to go on and on. And where does it leave you? Where does it leave your progeny? Where does it leave the further and future generations? I mean, it leaves us in a deficiency because they begin to model the behavior that is set before them. So I think that as we begin to become more informed, as we are, again, many of us are the talented 10th. We graduated college of some sort. We have to be able to step into that field and say, okay, let me look at me. Let me begin the journey of me and find out what do I become more self-aware and what I need to do to get myself in line with my purpose and in alignment with where I'm going, as opposed to that other thing of the status quo where my Uncle Jimmy did it, my grandfather did it. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah, but I love what you said, and knowing who you are. The problem is a lot of us don't know who we are and our purpose. And when we're detached from that purpose, we'll try and put anything in its place until we discover what our purpose is. And I'm sure you do the same thing. One of the first things I ask anyone who sits down on my couch is, who are you? If you're devoid of purpose, who are you?
Yeah, I just took your copay and I just took your money. But again, who are you? I need to know that right now.
Right, but a lot of times, but think about it, James. A lot of times we'll define who we are based upon the jobs we have or the functions we do, as opposed to the values that lie within us. And those are different questions. And I start with that open-ended question because I want to know how are they going, because that lets me into their mindset. That lets me into why they may act or react the way that they do, to see how you can funnel that question down. And I'll just go, but who are you? I hear you, but who are you? Come on, man, I'm pissed off. They're like, what you mean? Man, I said, man, I can read your intake. Dog, slow your roll.
I mean, many of us, especially you look at our fathers and our grandfathers, they define themselves by their hands, their craft, what they did, about being fathers, about being providers, about doing those things and bringing it to the household. And so, it was a badge of honor. It was something it was noble to be known as that. To be known as a provider. We hear so much in the social media relationship landscape these days, that we were people that are providers, protectors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But guess what? There's more to us than just providing and protecting. We're just not known by 3 adjectives or anything like that. And so my point is that when you find out who the journey of you is, when you find out who you are and you become of how you being you, how the creator manufactures you, how that affects you going forward.
Oh,
and
come
how
on,
other
James.
people will receive you. Then you can begin to step in and say, okay, guess what? I can pull from that buffet. I can take from that place.
Yes.
I won't take from that because that does not represent me. And then now I know that. So for instance, it's one of those things of, it's something as simple as if I'm getting on a live or anything like that, I know that I can't go take me 3 or 4 shots or anything like that before I go on live. Because I'm going to be just
people like right.
Why? Because I need to be coherent. Because I need to be able to speak, man, profusely, effectively, briefly, and also, man, powerfully in what I do. And so I know that about me. Others, man, we have to come along that same path and find out what it means for them and stand in that.
That's good.
And I think that helps us as we move further.
I love it, but when the coherency of your own life is not so sobering, what do we do? Woo! Listen, let's bring on our next guest here, because listen. I don't have the colloquialisms that y'all. You got to check out James's podcast. This brother is so cold with it. He came on there and just gave us a soliloquy that was so beautiful, and then set us up for the okie doke and said, "Bam, let's go for it." But check out podcast Mind of a Man podcast, y'all. It'll bless you. It'll really will. But listen, our next guest. This is their first time on the show. I'm so glad to have this. I call them James the Dynamic Duo because they are doing great work here in Riverside County in what we call the Inland Empire in Southern California. And I'm so honored to have them on the show for the first time. We are community partners as well. We are looking at how we can make our collaboration that much stronger. And this is their expertise. They're from Solid Ground Wellness. And I want to bring now to the show none other than Rodney and Jessica Clark.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. James, you hear that bass in his voice? How's everybody?
How you doing?
Man, I gotta match y'all energy. You know what I mean? I need to speak up a little bit, come alive.
Yeah. I'm so glad to have the two of you on the show. Thank you. Listen, I feed off of my guests. Y'all are so amazing and everything. But for those who don't know this, again, the dynamic duo, Wonder Twins activate, all that great stuff.
Holy Spirit activate.
That's it.
You better watch out. What
yes.
you're doing over there, you don't know what you do.
Yes. Right. I don't know what I'm doing.
Listen, talk to our audience for the first time, because listen, this is definitely not going to be your last time on the show. And listen, y'all got your fans out there just in here shouting out to the Clarks. But tell us what you do, your amazing nonprofit organization, and why and how you guys came to establish this great work that you do.
Okay, so first off, we're not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit business.
I ain't mad at you. Same here.
So this is how you find
Same here.
It's all right. But we are Solid Ground Wellness and Recovery. We provide outpatient drug treatment and mentoring for adolescents and adults. That's kind of our task.
Wow.
And the way we got into it is we come from where our families are riddled with addiction and mental illness. So I like what Mr. Bush said. He said he didn't choose it, it chose him. And I kind of feel like that's our situation with our families and with our close loved ones. We experience a lot of addiction and the blunt rolled up and the a lot of the unhealthy behaviors that we experience in the minority community sometimes. Depending on where you come from,
Yeah, for sure. Socially, that's totally acceptable, even now in our families. So it's not like it's a thing of the past.
Yeah, no.
So
you come to any of our family gatherings, there's a circle of dudes smoking blunts.
They're taking a walk.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a part
of
what it is. It's a part of how they cope.
Mine, they just roll them up and pass them around like it's a parting gift and a coming gift, and I'm just going, help me, Jesus.
Marty's been hit it a couple times.
No, sir. Listen, I'm crazy enough without any extra additives. I don't need any extra. But how was that? Because, and let me first commend you guys. Shout out, because there's not enough programs reaching our adolescent, reaching our teenagers. And I'm so honored and proud that you guys are. You guys both look 10 or 11 yourself. And James, look, don't they look like the little babies out there just doing this, but they have full grown on folk and got a full grown on business and helping the people out. Yes.
Hey, look, there ain't nothing baby about them when you start going through audits and you have to start talking to them. And you got to start talking to them penny counters. Look, I'm going through an audit next week. So
Holy Spirit, activate.
Ain't nothing babies about you when you're going through them things.
That's right.
There, man.
And you have to pay taxes. Yes. But Jessica,
I think for us, it's a really cool. I don't know how long we're gonna be able to say this, but
go ahead.
We've been able to have the perspective of we're younger than their parents, but older than them. So we have this really cool relationship with our adolescent clients, where they feel like extremely comfortable. We have a tendency to kind of like cultivate our environment as far as like being non-judgmental.
That's good.
Understanding that drugs feel good sometimes, and like nobody wants to say that, they've just been told to say no, or they've just been told like that's horrible, or that's horrible for your body, and all of those things are true, but they're not going to receive it that way. So we need to acknowledge their truth first, so that they just are able to hear from us. Like we're grown up broken kids ourselves, so we're just trying to let them know like this thing, it just, you just evolve. You don't just become something, different overnight.
Yes. We have the mental health queen of the IE herself, Miss Nisha, who is watching, and we're so honored. We're not worthy. We're so grateful to Nisha out there. Listen, we're so great. But I know your journey and your story, and can you guys go into a little bit about your journey, your story, and just like you said, that this passion, this field called you guys to it, and because I think it's going to help so many people.
Well, which one wants to go first? Because
she got the real addiction story. Like, she's really rooted in it. Lay hands on her. You know what I'm saying?
but listen. That's the missus. Yeah, go right ahead. Thank you, Jessica.
So it's like,
well, we all do at some point.
Which story are we going to tell? Because there's
whichever you choose. So but yes, go ahead.
We're going to start from the very beginning. So I was born to two heroin addicts, and my mom My mom, the way that my mom met my dad was because she was trying to score in Riverside, but she was from Orange County, so she didn't know where the connect was in the area.
Right.
So she was outside the liquor store. She was like, "Hey, you know where I could score?" And they were like, "Oh, I know this dude, whatever." So they took him to the dude, and the dude is my dad.
Right.
But they didn't know that at the time. But so then that was the case, and my mom was homeless, so she would sneak in the backyard of his house and sleep there because he still lived with his mom.
Right.
It was really dysfunctional. So then my dad went to prison, so my mom was left on the streets. And then so she went to rehab. So she's like, well, I don't have nowhere to go. I know they have these rehab places where you could live for free, and I'm on drugs, and maybe that would be good. But part of the intake process was that she took a pregnancy test. And so when she did that, they were like, you're pregnant.
Right.
She's like, what? So back then, they didn't have services for pregnant women.
Yes.
And they were just going to start opening up this program, but you had to be 6 months pregnant to enter the program. So she continued her use through her pregnancy. She continued using heroin through her pregnancy. And then about 6 months, when she was eligible for the program, right before she went in, she said that she just tried to overdose because she's like, this is just a lot. And obviously that didn't happen. And so then she entered into the program. And then, so for me, because she entered into the program while she was pregnant with me, I lived in sober livings. I lived in rehabs, growing up. And that was my experience. And then at the age of almost 5, my dad lost his life to addiction. So for me, I saw my mom do this like kind of big turnaround. I was really involved in like Narcotics Anonymous meetings.
Right.
Like I understood what that meant. I was hearing people's stories all of the time. And then I understood the other side where like my dad, all the jail talk, when I get out, it's going to be different. And then that never happening, you know, and then that ultimately resulting in his death. So for me, I was like, okay, it was pretty clear that if you got clean, this is where your life was going to go. If you didn't get clean, without having to really say anything, I just seen that was the result of both lifestyles. And so for me, I always had a heart for fatherless people. And as I started to get older and mature, I understood that majority of the time our fatherless people, it's a result of some type of drug, or whether it's gangs who are influenced by drugs, or
that's good.
Those types of things. And I was like, what can I do to be a part of a community who tries to prevent fatherless families from continuing? And addiction was definitely just obvious.
James, don't you just love that story and the passion behind it? And right. When she told me that story, and can you please share with them what your mother is doing these days too?
Yeah, so she will have 31. Let me see. Hold on. She will have 32 years clean next month. And she is amazing.
She is.
As far as like her ability to connect with the clients, like they really feel her. She has the ability to be vulnerable with them.
Yes.
She talks to them like not many people talk to them. And it's really cool to see. We kind of grew up together because when you're in addiction, you're you kind of, it stops. Yeah, you're a little stunted. So I kind of grew up with her because like when I was born, I felt like she kind of was born.
Yeah, you're right. Because that is a birthing process. Because James even talked to us about, Nisha says, yes, she is. She is absolutely amazing. About even when we're, I love what you said, the new emotional birthplace of mom at that point. That happens, and then she gave herself permission to really grow. James, talk to us a little bit even about what that looks like in the therapeutic process from your experiences that you've had as well.
It's learning to do life all over again. It's learning to do life from a sober mindset. For so long, a person has been numbed by their drug of choice again, and it's not necessarily detailed to substances. It could be whatever, whether it be sex, whether it be gambling, whether it be anything. It's that they've been numb for so long, and there is something that I call I like to look at trauma. As I told you last week in our call, Marty, trauma is the real puppet master. It's pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Wow, that's real.
And it's creating these different triggers within us.
Right.
And so now, after we X the puppet master out, and we are willing to deal with us, and deal with life on life's terms. Now it's like, okay, how do I function? How do I live when I get upset? When I get mad? When I'm encouraged? When I get happy? When I get excited? When I get a little bit of money in my pocket? What do I do then? And I think that is so important, because it's hard to move and navigate in those spaces when you've never been there before. Especially when the brain, especially when it's used to have those striations within them that have been carved out because you've done certain things over and over and over and over again. And we know that the brain has very much plasticity when you're younger, but as you get older, sometimes it takes a lot more energy, more effort, more will for it to change in that moment. So now it's very difficult.
Because we have to create.
Not impossible. Not impossible.
Yeah. Because we're creating new neural pathways, and that can be, and so that has to be intentional. James, don't laugh at me. After I spoke with you last week, my daughter and I got caught up with watching Pinocchio, and one of the I told you don't laugh, but it came back to mind, and then you reminded me, because you're right. Addictions and pre-recovery is the real puppet master in our lives. And Pinocchio was doing this, no strings on me, and I love it because Jessica, your mother says I'm now free, and I have no more strings on me. Although my natural tendency might go back to tie it on me, but I have to make sure I don't allow that to happen. And that's the walking in the newness of our mindset to make sure we have the right support systems along the way. I hope okay, I said it right then. Yes, that's not my expertise, but I just know from what I've seen in my own families, like you said, and some of my clients. But now, how did the two of you meet?
They brothers.
We worked together. We worked together.
Yeah, we used to work together. Mm-hmm. She was a little bit younger than me, and I think 2 years or so. But I ended up having conversations with her because I'm a person of substance, and I seen she was as well.
Come on,
so we made our conversations were not the typical, swipe left, swipe right. What's your interest? It was I heard her story, and I was like, oh, you got confidence to share, and I had to let her know about myself, and it was after that it was. Codependency. No.
Then we worked our way through that. Okay.
Yes. Wait a minute, James. You like what I said? Ronnie says, "Listen, I had substance. She had substance. So
let's make something."
Whatever happened to finding out the favorite color?
That totally was skipped.
I didn't even care about the colors. It wasn't on my palette.
That's good.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was
so
a
good.
Very unhealthy version of myself, man. At some point, I definitely wasn't a model citizen my whole life. So,
well, if you find one, can you let us know? Because none of us are model citizens. None of us are. Listen, there's some stuff I'm taking to the grave, but that's a whole nother story.
They said they're not gonna look at you different, Marty, but they lied.
Oh boy!
Right. So I love it that this called you. So this makes sense. What are you seeing? Because I read that statistic that there are they said 107,000 people have died in the past year due to overdose. Because we're not talking about the overdose. And when I was in Columbus, Ohio, a couple months ago, James, they were talking about in Columbus how the opioid is returning within the Black community there. Yes. Yeah, right.
That's the Ohio. That's the Appalachian area. Also, that's the back alley of it all.
Right.
I mean,
that's why I had to get up out of there.
I'm coming to California.
He said, I'm going.
Back to Cal. Right. But yes, but what are you guys both seeing in your practices? What clerks? What are you guys seeing in some of the in Riverside County and some of the things you're seeing? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what we experience with our clients is going to be a lot of like fake designer drugs, fake Percocets, a lot of fentanyl. They're using that fentanyl, and the fentanyl is super dangerous. Like we had some kids, we heard they OD'd with it laced in weed, and I've never heard of fentanyl being used for marijuana. So
they're doing everything with it these days.
They're using it for a lot, and not to mention, I mean, with the whole culture of hip hop, and I mean, I sound like one of them old.
I know we don't want to be one of those.
I ain't gonna lie to you, like the kids are rapping about popping perks, and you know what I mean. So you get an impressionable 13-year-old who's kind of like, yeah, that's cool, that's what I want, and I can go on the dark web.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Have this sent to my house from the site. They have so much access now, so it's to them it's safe, and I like what Jessica said. I see that is very much true. Right, the drugs feel good to them, you know. So especially when they're dealing with trauma or the parents are working, they don't have time to really be holding their hand, and the only time they're getting that attention when mom has to stop or dad has to stop when you got this school calling me, and they said you got caught with a pen, or now you know it's a disciplinary thing. And we're telling them don't use the drugs, but all their friends are using drugs and they're not ODing. Yeah. You know, all their friends are engaging in these behaviors with little consequences until they have a serious consequence. So it's more socially acceptable. But what we experience is a lot of fentanyl and a lot of fake drugs. And that's what I tell my clients, like, you don't know what this stuff is. You if you're not getting it from a pharmacy or FDA approved source, you don't know if that's a Percocet. You don't know if that's a Xanax. It looks like a Xanax, but some of them, you know, because they got what my friend says, do your Googles. Some of them do their Googles, and they're like, no, it really is this because it has 3 lines and it has and I'm like, bro, that's a stamper. They can create that press. There's no way to guarantee.
Yeah, for $10.99 from Amazon.com.
AliExpress. You go right to AliExpress.
Yes. You know, y'all, I don't even know anything about the dark web. I'm still trying to navigate through the light
Our
web.
Clients taught us. Our clients taught us.
I learned everything I know from a 15-year-old boy.
Right.
Like, bring your laptop in, show me how you're navigating this. And I mean, they can go online and literally
deliver
you can see
to the house.
Shrooms, fentanyl, anything. I mean, literally profiles. If you want social security numbers, and these kids are learning about it. There's YouTube. There's YouTube channels that teach them how to access
career
the dark
of being
web.
A scammer is an option.
So in the space, you run across a lot of in the substance abuse space, we run across a lot of different unique situations and things that we, you know, as in general, we don't really know about until by the time you hear about it on CNN, Fox, your local news network. It's already riddled your community. It's in the high schools.
Yeah. We're being reactive at that point.
We're being reactive.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do we become proactive for that parent who might be listening, for that grandmother who might be listening? How do we identify and recognize if our loved ones might be addicted or might be abusing? And then how do we get the necessary help? And I'll start with the Clarks, and then I'm going to pass the ball over to James after that.
It's a little difficult. It's a little bit of a difficult task.
I know it's a loaded question.
Pinpoint it out,
right?
But like simple, not simple, but things like, you know, eating together and making sure we're doing stuff together so that we could easily see, like, you know, it's a little different, you know, or you're withdrawing yourself. You're in your room a lot more, you know, those are, but that's not always the case. But I mean, it is a little bit difficult. That's
gonna be it. I mean, I would always recommend to any parents that are uncertain or just as good practice, like do a face-to-face.
Yeah,
you know,
go on a date with them.
We need to be interacting with them. You know, you need to be in their lives and not dismissing what they're interested in, because if you dismiss what they're interested in, they're gonna go to the friend. They're going to, and he's 15 and he's 14, but this is, you know, he don't got no more life experience than him. But because they're getting a lot of rejection as far as their ideas, even if their ideas are dumb. You know how many kids I talk to that got dumb ideas?
Well, you don't know how many adults I talk to got dumb ideas.
You know, so we gotta be able to Let them have a platform. Like, give them a voice, man.
Yeah, just I hear you. I hear you. You know,
James, don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me, James. You know we right, man.
Yeah, and I think and one of the things that we try to make a culture in our facility and just in general, I think it's just emotional wellness.
There we go.
Yeah, when we're emotionally well, when you have the ability to be vulnerable with whatever the heck you're feeling, and not be looked at as dramatic or those types of things, then you have more ability to feel like you can verbalize those things instead of resorting to substances to kind of shut them down. Because if you don't have a platform to verbalize the feelings and the emotions,
that's good.
I'll just keep them inside.
Yeah, exactly. James, talk to us about when how do we recognize, and even from a therapeutic point of view, when we're dealing with someone who has substance abuse or substance usage, or definitely replacing and putting these negative coping skills in light of dealing with situations.
I'll tell you about when it happened with me. When I'm dating myself, and when that VCR back in the 80s came up missing, you knew what was wrong.
Right. And so, where'd it go? I don't know.
And so, but you have people when it comes to the different trigger markers of that. You have things such as lowered hygiene. You have missing from work, missing from school. Deficiency in work ethic, grades, sluggish. I mean,
that's good.
Sometimes when in my treatment facility, what I watch is some of the kids who are barred up, which is high off of Xanax bars, and they're nodding, they're sleeping. It's 3 o'clock. And they're slurring and their speech is slurred, and they're very incoherent at that point in time. And so you notice those things as well too. I mean, all these different things are different signs and symptoms. There's something going on, because at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, unless, man, you are a night out of some sort, you ain't supposed to be like that. And so then we can also look at the missing of financial resources, money, theft, thievery, in trouble with the law, erratic behavior, or so like that. No, he's just not like that. No, no, is she like that? Something's wrong. Something is going on.
That's good. That's good.
Or also too, you can go and throw in the increase of financial resources all of a sudden out of nowhere, because look, this is a societal issue. It has socioeconomic implications as well with it. How many know that when you have a job that is not paying you very much, the quick hitter is to go and sell some of those pills? $1 a milligram, $10 a milligram. So if it's one of my favorite names of it, but I don't use it, called Roxy or anything like that. Basically, cut with Tylenol, you can make a lot of money off that. Especially you have to pay car note, you have to pay for daycare, you have to pay for all these other different things along the lines, and your 9 to 5 is just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So there's a systemic issue that we have going on along with that, and nobody obeys the rules. Never get high on your own supply, because guess what? When you are shut down and when your woman is getting on your nerves, or your guy, then how many know it's easy to zonk out into Never Never Land and then wake up in the next morning and try to do it all again?
Yeah, and I love that, because I want everyone to hear what they had to say. They gave us wonderful tools and ways of looking, because all we're doing is tracking changes and radical changes of normal behavior. Those are clear signs, and so my question would be this: if you suspect a loved one, a friend, your child, your niece, nephew, or someone that could be using drugs, how do I have that uncomfortable conversation? Because some parents are afraid to address it, or be like, nah, not my kid. So how do I have that conversation? I'm gonna start there. That's my first question. How do I begin to have the conversation with my loved ones? Clarks.
I think it just depends on the relationship with the kid. Some kids have I would definitely, if it's a 2-parent home, I'm going for the cooler parent, whoever they're more comfortable talking with, you bring it up. If it's a single mom, which I grew up a single grandmother, I mean, you don't have any other options. I would say they're gonna lie to you. I mean, I've never seen a kid ever. I've
say,
never
yes, I'm on
witnessed a kid
drugs.
like, yeah, I'm on drugs. I would definitely bring it up, but prepare yourself and go get we call it a UA, but go get a drug test. You can buy them at Walmart. You can go buy a pack, and if they're apprehensive about taking that drug test, then you probably got your answer right there. It's more so, what are you using?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where I would start. I would start with the drug test for sure, and see if they'll be honest with you, or you can get them to just openly express it. But I would come at it kind of like, I know. That's what I do.
Okay.
And it's effective. And not from a place of like, I know you're using, tell me the truth.
Not from a point of judgment.
No. Yeah, not from a place of judgment, because they're going to shut down. But I'll be like, man, you smell like weed a little bit, man. You sure you didn't hit nothing, but you can't?
Yeah.
Nah, me, because the biggest fear you have as a kid is they're going to flip out. They're going to flip out. So when you come at them from a cool place, like, you smell like bud, they're already like, what?
Well, what had happened was I was in the room when other folk was smoking it. Yeah.
And that would be where I would start.
Yeah, and I think something that I would like to share to parents who are kind of like apprehensive about doing that is accountability is one of the most difficult parts of love, but it is a part of love. If we aren't willing to tell somebody the truth because we're worried about the relationship, you know, what it's going to do to our relationship.
Right.
We love ourselves more than we love that person.
Right.
So
we
really need to understand that accountability is a part of love. And once we get ourselves to really believe that, now we have to hopefully get our children to believe that, so that they know, when I'm holding you accountable, I am loving you. You know, when I am making sure that you're good, that's me loving you.
That's good.
You know, because right now it feels like I'm judging. Like you probably feel like I'm judging you, but once we can understand that accountability is a part of love, it really helps the relationship, and it just puts it into perspective way better.
I love you enough to hold you accountable.
Absolutely. That's with any relationship. That's our relationship. That's our relationship right here. You know, I love you enough to hold you accountable. If I don't ever say nothing, do I really care? You know,
James, don't you love how they looked at each other and said, our relationship? And I commend y'all, because I couldn't work with my spouse. One of us would have to quit. One of us would have to quit.
It's crazy.
It's the man upstairs, man. When it's purposeful, you gotta be led. When it's purposeful, it don't look like everybody else. I trust
Listen,
you. Without
it could be purposeful, but I'd be like, one of us got to quit.
You better be obedient. You better stop playing, boy.
I'm gonna be obedient. One of us is quitting. But
you see how it's designed where it's undeniable now. Like for me, because I was that, like, I need my own thing and you need your own thing.
Right. That would be me.
And now it is so undeniable to me how much more memorable we are, how much more well received we are as a couple, as a team. We definitely have our me time though, for sure. Like after this, I'm gonna go get on the game. It comes with it, but you know what? It does. It really makes you have to be healthy.
Yeah,
you cannot be unhealthy.
That's good.
And be right here all day.
Because we said it as a joke, that codependency thing, but that was a real thing, man.
Yeah. Sure. But that's a part of recovery as well, making sure that we now not have unhealthy attachment issues.
Absolutely.
And smothering the other person so that I might be accountable or remain healthy as well. James, how do we talk to adult loved ones or adult friends, and especially when a lot of times we don't know health? One, we don't even like talk about recovery or therapy or anything like that. Then we don't know enough about the programs to even know if they're legitimate or not. Can I say that? Well, I just said it. Help us navigate through that, James, because I'll be honest, I struggle as a clinician sometimes, and that's why I'm so glad that I was introduced to the Clarks and Solid Ground, because now I know a trusted provider, but I don't want to send them to a drug or even a recovery spot where they learn how to be better addicts.
Right.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, Marty, it's one of those things about informing and educating yourself on, the disease called addiction.
Right.
Some of the statistics out there show that maybe a person will enter treatment or rehab maybe 3 to 7 times before it actually takes to them. And so what that does is for the person who is referring them, it takes a little bit of the pressure off of them about, man, I'm going to send you here and this has got to work. No, it doesn't, because what they're doing is they're planting seeds. They're planting seeds.
Okay.
At that point.
Okay.
And so, which is very necessary. And as they continue to go through life and have these different experiences, different people are coming into their lives and they're watering them and they're helping them. I know another thing that has to happen in our community, I mean, system wide, is that we got to stop this shaming and guilting people about stuff, because that doesn't help us at all. Especially,
that's good.
Especially when it comes to some of our religious circles. What we don't know, we guilt, we shame, we demonize or so. And who wants to reach out for help, man, when that kind of thing is going on?
Plus, we already have enough of that here.
Right. Yeah, it's in your mind.
There's enough.
So you see the isolation.
That's good. Yeah,
these things along those lines. And I will take it from the idea of and the audience, they can look it up later, is harm reduction. Now, when harm reduction first came out, it was very notorious because some people were saying, well, we're giving these drug addicts needles and things like that so they can continue to use. But there was something else that was tied to that on the back end. And the fact is that what it is sometimes designed to do is that it is not shaming, it is not guilting, but you're offering information and education to that person
simultaneously.
What's what I'm saying? So within hopes, they will go and seek their own treatment, seek their own help, seek their own well-being. Because one thing is that this thing has to be very intrinsically motivated. It's not something that could be externally motivated. I mean, we've seen where court systems and they mandate people, to, like today, I have family treatment court where I'm sitting in a clinical consultation team with a magistrate and judges where people are losing custody of their kids because of substance abuse. Well, if you ask how many people graduate that program, very few. And some people say, well, how come you can want your kid? Because, there's a lot that goes along with it. That's an externalized motivating factor. Yeah. It has to be within you or so like that. Now, how do you get there? By unconditional positive regard, by congruence, by unconditional love for another individual. Those things, man, are so powerful because now I feel safe and comfortable, even if I've messed up, that I can come to you and have these kind of conversations.
Yeah, for sure. And creating a sense of urgency without putting guilt and shame,
That's
like
good.
Why,
That's and I have to admit that I think some of us, and I love what you said, James, and that it could take anywhere from 3 to 7 to 10 times before it really takes, and too many. Oftentimes, I believe we get very impatient. And we forget about that all of us had to be delivered or recover from something, I always want to tell them, now some of y'all need to recover from sitting at the table so much and eating so much food. But that's a whole nother thing. It took you about 15, 20 times to get a smaller plate. So why are we less patient? Because it is not our thing we're recovering from. So I can judge you and almost quantify, well, at least mine is not as bad as yours. And I love it. We have to take all of that shame and guilt out of it and then have open conversations and having more dialogues like this.
Yeah, and I think it breeds realistic expectations. Because unrealistic expectations just hinders the relationship even more. I'm expecting you to do. That's why we love to do like home visits or understand the family a little bit more. Visits? And we will. Because I need to understand. I love it. We are. Look.
I'm not scared of them, Marty.
The more context we have of their life, the more realistic expectations and realistic goals we can give them, realistic solutions. If I roll up to your house and you live in a complex and right when I walk through the gate, it just smells like weed in here, I know you're triggered every 10 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how can I expect you? Now I'm telling you that you need to make sure that your environment is conducive of recovery. You're like, wait a minute, I'm an adolescent. I have to live here.
Right.
How does that work?
It goes back to the harm reduction that he's saying that what is Jordan?
No, James.
I'm sorry, your name. But it goes back to harm reduction. If you get a kid, he gets caught with Percocets at school, or he has a probation case. If you go to his house and it smells like weed, I mean, if he gives me a positive drug test for weed, as long as it don't got the Percocet, I got to take that as a win.
Right.
That's a win. That's a win for right now. You know,
exactly.
And you gotta applaud that growth. You gotta applaud those little measures, because they're not gonna take leaps and bounds right out the gate.
Yeah, abstinence is not really a thing they care about. It's like, okay, let's not take it to school.
Yeah, don't take it to school. How about
right.
don't
and
come
then
to school
after that,
anymore.
like, let's not,
That's good. Jazzy called y'all gangster. They are Jazzy. They roll up into someone's house and everything. But you're right. We have to learn to celebrate. And that's what I think we oftentimes, in any type of recovery, in mental health, all of that, we don't celebrate the small wins enough, because we know it's the small battles that eventually allow us to win the war. I might have lost the battle today, but I can have victory tomorrow. I may have lost it this hour, but the next hour I have another opportunity to correct it. And that's always the stance I believe we have to always take when it comes to recovery, when it comes to supporting those in recovery. And we got to be careful, because we might be the one needing recovery.
That's right. No, for real. For real.
I
am not above it.
Listen, none of us are. None of us are. Listen, I can't believe we are at our time, y'all. Wow, it goes way too fast. Now, for those who may not know how to get a hold of you, listen, tell us how we can get a hold of you. What's your website? Again, your expertise, and are you open to new clients?
Yeah, absolutely. We would love new clients. Our website is solidgroundwellness.com. We're located in Riverside, the city of Riverside. However, we have the ability to provide telehealth services.
Beautiful.
And anybody with Medi-Cal, we can serve. Riverside County Medi-Cal, we can service them for free. And if they're adolescent, they don't even need to be in Riverside County for us to utilize their Medi-Cal. So we love to say that, because that is a population that we feel is overlooked, and their services are not as quality. So we love the ability to be able to help that population for sure.
We also take PPO insurance, and you can be outside of California. You just have to have your insurance information, and you can call us at 1-800-S-GROUND. That's pretty simple to remember, right? It's 1-800-S-GROUND.
Wait, okay, I need y'all credentialing process, because y'all got some credentials that I'm still been fighting for. So I love it. No, I'm so proud of you. You'll take PPO. Listen, a brother trying to get some insurance panels.
Yeah.
But I love it, because you can take, if they're an adult, Riverside County Medi-Cal. If you can take any Medi-Cal for youth in the state of in the state of California. Then, but you can take PPO from just anywhere. I love it. Come on, and get us some dollars.
Serve the people.
We serving them. Listen, if we don't get no dollars, we can't serve the people.
Serve the people if we don't get no dollars.
Yeah. Listen, I need the dollars so I can serve the people. And we can go ahead and come on and join James, and going to have a multi-millionaire policy and company out here, and join forces, all that great stuff. James, California, we don't call it Medicare or Medicaid or Medicare.
That sounds bad.
Medicaid. We have to say Medi-Cal.
Medi-Cal.
That's all it is. It's Medicaid for the rest of the country, but in California it's Medi-Cal.
Medi-Cal. Okay.
Yes, James, how do we follow you, and how can we even connect with you if we're looking for services?
You can find me at bushcounselingservices.com, or you can look for me James Bush. Type in the Google search James Bush Nashville. I'll pop right up. Or you can look for me on YouTube, James Bush with a Mind of a Man show, Mind of a Man podcast.
Yes.
I'm on there as well. Or on IG, Mind of a Man show. I'm on there as well. Twitter, Mind of a Man. I'm on there as well. I mean, basically, you can throw a rock, north, south, east, west. Put James Bush with me. Mind of a Man is right there. And plug. Yes. December the 2nd is going down in Huntsville, Alabama. We are going to Let's Have Manversation Conference at 7 p.m. at the NSS Center. One of my first, man. I'm very excited about that. We're getting out there. We're going to help impact some men's lives, speak power into them, truth to power. And also, man, just put it out there and have a good time.
Yes, that's amazing. Definitely. You two, you guys connect because that's your wheelhouse, your powerhouse. Definitely. Love both of you guys. It's so amazing. Again, yes, congrats to James and guys. We're going to be planning our Black Men Made Well conference in late spring, early summer. I'm going to have James come out here and he's going to be speaking. So when he comes out, we got to connect. Rodney, we're going to have you do a workshop dealing with drug and alcohol and addictions and recovery, all that, because Jessica, we'd love to have you, but I'm getting male presenters.
Put her to work.
Do you think? Yeah.
We're putting the men to serve men, so we can do bros doing the bro thing.
I love that.
But I appreciate both of you, and thank you guys so much for being such awesome guests and helping us with some basic things on how to confront and not be afraid to confront. Because I love what Jessica said. If you love me, you'll hold me accountable. Woo!
Absolutely.
That we can drop the mic right there.
Pass the offering plate.
No, we'll take a little offertory too.
A second one. No, I'm just playing.
We ain't never bad at the offertory plate. Amen. Hallelujah. Holy Spirit, activate. But listen, we want to thank you so much. I'm going to ask you, if you're not doing anything this Sunday, I am going to be at downtown LA at Black on the Block. Black on the Block. Daryl, I don't even know we have that graphic or not, but I'm going to pull it up on my phone, and we are going to be at Magic Box LA at 1933 South Broadway. 1933 South Broadway for Black on the Block at Magic Box LA, and I will be there from 1 to 8 p.m. Now, I have some mental health t-shirts and some other merch. I need everybody to come on out and support a brother so we can do more impactful things like this. It costs money and dollars to do what we do. I would love one day, all of my guests come on here free, y'all, but I want to one day love to be able to pay them for their services. You have just received over really $1,000 worth of services that we're providing to you because we love and want to help you. But we never want to leave you without any help. Now, if you're experiencing any type of need for recovery, there is a wonderful number that you can call, Daryl, and that number is 1-800-662-HELP. That is the SAMHSA hotline. And again, that's 1-800-662-HELP. Or we always want you to try the new National Mental Health Hotline, helpline, which is 988. Definitely, that is the mental health line, 988. You can dial it from any phone and definitely get the help that you need. Again, join us on next week where we're having mental health and education, and that is great. Tanya, thank you so much. Yes, we always want to help somebody in this journey called life. Yes. We don't want you to continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow of shame. But as I say each week, we want you to speak up, speak out, and live. And always remember to enjoy your life. We'll see you next week. Take care and God bless. Enjoy your life, be free.